Aloha. I'm going to list 10 counter arguments to debate talking points I have whenever people say I'm misogynistic or unfair or short-minded or uninformed. So, starting off with the misogynist, right? Like, I say that women are not as rational as men, and that they are built to deal with situations that are not, beyond rationale, like simple existential, having a child, using their chest to feed the child, tolerating the cries, and so they have these interesting ways of, it's kind of this coping, and they use rationalization like, oh, my situation's unique, or they say stuff like, nobody can be judged because every situation is different. Whenever I say things like, well, why don't you believe in, avoiding premarital intimacy and no child out of wedlock, and then they'll try to say that, oh, the child is, I'm really glad that the child, and I'm not trying to defeat the whole child thing. What I'm trying to suggest is that it's like, what is ideal for the child? And so number two is the idea of debate is ideals. And so what I do is I debate in the direction of an ideal. So if I think that an ideal is a happy world where people trust each other because they're not seducing each other, they're not seducing each other's brothers, sisters, daughters, sons, everything, where they're all about, like, avoiding premarital intimacy, making it about true love because you value the person and their values, and you're just not pursuing intimacy. It's like that aim for that ideal is not everybody gets in debates. They say stuff like, oh, the world is never going to be ideal. The world can't be saved. We have to work with what we've got. You'll see this a lot of times where on like Fresh and Fit and whatever podcasts, they'll say stuff like, oh, we got to deal with what we're facing, like the modern woman. We got to outsmart them and, seduce them and like use their logic against them. But that doesn't make any sense, because point number three is the whole V card debate. And I can't say the word, but you get what I'm saying when somebody has their V card. So I think it's ideal that everyone have their V card, both men and women, and it allows them to have no created memories and attachments and issues and children out of wedlock with people, not to mention STDs and everything. And so this ideal, people will say that, oh, well, how are you going to know if you're able to be compatible in the bedroom? And I say, you can, after interacting with someone and realizing you have common values, you can have these more personal conversations over the internet, whether it's email or video chat, and not dating. And you can talk about bedroom intimacy and compatibility, because you should know yourselves, because you engage in self-intimacy. And that leads me to my next point, the idea of dating. It's not efficient. Emphasis on the word efficient. When people are efficient, they basically are trying to find the easiest way. They're trying to find the easiest way to, and the quickest way to find their significant other. And when I say significant other, I mean spouse. And I'll get into that more. But it's like dating is premarital intimacy. Just sitting at the table, flirting, even a kiss, that's all premarital intimacy. It's unloving, and all it does is it leads to more entrapping yourselves into someone so you can't see clearly. All you're doing is distracted by biology and hormones, and you can't see clearly. So, but we're getting beyond that, because it's a recognition that that's not efficient, because you're gonna be quote unquote dating, which is and in a quote unquote relationship, which is non-committal and ambiguous anyway. So they might cheat on you, and it's just not formal, and it's not loving, and it's you'll be with them for what? How long? What's the timeline? A month, 6 months, a year before you realize that you're not compatible, and then the consequences are heartbreak and everything. No logic, not efficient. And if you're with the wrong person and you find the right person, then more confusion, right? Because you wish you were single and available. And the next thing is this idea of love is, and then I'll get to marriage. So people say that, oh, love is, we can define it in our own way, and it just, you just got to figure it out. And it's like, no, break it down to a science. The science of how many common values do we have with each other. Love is simple. It's what are the shared values we have, core values, and are there enough shared values and interests to say that we can get together and there won't be any conflict, there won't be any drama, no worrying about, will the wife submit to the husband, even though it's good for the wife to want to follow the husband. If she wants a masculine husband, she's gonna, and if she wants to be a feminine woman, then, and that's another counterpoint there is but to dial in on this love thing. So that's love. And then the idea of masculine and feminine, maybe that can play out in different ways, but it's a role-playing thing. And you really want to know what roles you're playing in a marriage. And when I say marriage, here's the debate point, talking point number 7. And that's when you are about marriage, okay? It doesn't have to be legal marriage. In fact, if you do legal marriage, you want to do a prenuptial agreement. Otherwise, the state has its default prenuptial agreement. But you when you do marriage, if you want to do it the non-legal way, what you have to do at minimum is publicly commit to each other for life. On your social media, you show pictures of each other. On the woman takes the husband's last name, generally, legally changing it, but even if they're not legally married. And then it's a public commitment. It's wearing a wedding band. And there you go. And so, but that's commitment, because all the other stuff people don't want to say. They use all these deceptive terms like boyfriend, girlfriend, significant other. Oh, we love each other. Oh, you act like you're in love, you act like you're married, and the way you act like you're married is by being together in public, eating together. That's why you don't want to go on a public date with somebody that you're not married to. And so, but the point is it's a transcendence of the whole world of envy, because, and this is point number 9, is when you feel envy, it's because it's not because someone's better than you, it's because you disapprove of the way they're misusing their body or their money. So if they're using it in the right way, then you should actually feel good about them. You should feel good that they're creating a nice human experience, and for ourselves and our future reincarnations into which you might incarnate. And to cap it off, final debate talking point is people saying that because I'm not married or have much intimate experience, that I'm not qualified, or somebody who isn't married is not qualified. The reality is, this is a conversation, and if people care about marriage, they won't use this talking point. So challenge them. If they say, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, or, oh, why are you telling other people? Just tell them, hey, you're not interested in marriage. Because people have this thing where they don't say the truth, where they don't say, oh, I'm not interested in marriage, or, oh, I only want premarital intimacy, or, oh, I don't know myself enough to love myself, which is a necessary prerequisite to loving somebody else. So let's transition into truth, you guys. and love.